Hello, friends. Welcome back, or welcome for the first time. I'm Maggie Ostara, and I am a sovereignty mentor and a human design expert. And I like to share the human design perspective on what's happening for us astrologically. So I've been doing this for a couple of years now because the astrology has been so off the charts. And today I'm going to talk about Uranus moving fully into Gemini. Uranus is the last of the outer planets to be moving into its new sign. We've had this big migration of the outer planets into their new signs over the last 18 months, which is extremely rare for them all to be moving because they have orbits that are such different lengths, right? So for them to all to be clustered at the same time and all moving. And they've moved from water and earth into air and fire. So just elementally, you can see what a huge difference that is. And Uranus is moving into Gemini, which is an air sign. So we're going to go ahead and dive into the particular gates of that today. And something that's really quite interesting that I realized when I did research on this that I think is going to be exciting for you. So let's go ahead and get started. Uranus is known as the god of awakening, of sudden change, of kind of waking us up to what is going to liberate us. Uranus is a big believer in freedom and will do anything necessary to help liberate you, including sometimes tear things down or blow things up in your life. I like to associate Uranus with the Tower card in the tarot, if you're familiar with that, where you've got the tower and then there's lightning striking the tower and there are people that are like this falling off the tower, right? So that's kind of Uranian energy where it's like, and creates powerful, sudden change. And boy, are we in a time of awakening right now or what? So many things that were stable, that were reliable, that we counted on in the past are no longer. And there are many different ways that we've thought about our world that are being shaken up to their core. People we maybe thought we could have trusted in the past are being shown to not be trustworthy. Systems that we used to rely on that we thought were reliable are shown to be corrupt. So there's a lot of that is coming out that we're seeing through the different kinds of disclosure that are happening, that is really waking us up to understand that the world is different than the one we were taught and the one that we accepted and have kind of been recreating and believing that it was a certain way, and it's turning out it's not. So this is very much Uranian energy. Uranus rules Aquarius. Pluto is in Aquarius, so we've got Uranus and Pluto really working together. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in the video. But just to know, there's a lot of Uranian energy that's happening with what's going on with Pluto and Aquarius as well. And so there's just really a lot of stirring up of things. And I know that can be really unsettling and scary, right? And I want to invite you as much as you can to really kind of put on your adventurer hat. Get your magic backpack, get your headlight, right? And get ready to be moving into the new era. I'm sure you've been hearing about this, right? The new era, the new earth that is emerging out of the burning down of the old. Remember that Pluto is really Phoenix energy, and Pluto entered into Aquarius 18 months ago. That was the first outer planet to move signs completely and moved into Aquarius. And every time Pluto moves into Aquarius, it is also a time of awakening. It's also breaking things down because, like I said, Aquarius is also ruled by Uranus, so it has that Uranian energy. But then, of course, Pluto just takes us on this deep, deep dive into the underworld because Pluto is the god of the underworld. So we've been in a lot, right? And we also have Neptune, who has moved into Aries, and Saturn has moved into Aries. So we've got all of those planets that are now really moving like fast energetically and are stirring things up pretty dramatically. So Uranus, as I said, is the last one to fully move into its new sign of Gemini. I have Uranus on really close to my midheaven in my astrological chart. So Uranus is an energy that I have definitely danced with through the course of my life. And I had an astrology reading many years ago, like 25 years ago, with Caroline Casey, who is the visionary activist astrologer. She's awesome. And she saw that and she said, "Oh, you're a professional intuitive. There's no job description for that, so you'll have to make one up," which was actually very affirming for me at the time, because I was feeling very strongly at that time that I did not fit in. I had left my job as a university professor and I was creating a new life. And I just really felt like, gosh, I have to make up whatever my new job description is. And the truth is I really haven't worked for anybody else. So a little consulting, but I really haven't worked for anybody else since then, because I do have that kind of Uranian energy of kind of things moving and change happening, transformation happening, and in the service of my liberation. And then also I'm here to help others in the service of their liberation, which is one of the reasons that human design is so appealing to me, because human design is a spiritual system, which I believe is dedicated to our liberation. So Uranus plays an important role in all of our lives, and Uranus can come in at certain times and really kind of put a mirror in front of your face and say, "What are you doing, my friend?" Like, what are you doing? Are you on track? Are you on purpose? Or are you giving away your dreams, your beliefs, your interests, your power, your energy, right, to outer forces that are not in service of your freedom? And so Uranus will come in and ask you that. And so we've really, really been experiencing that. So the symbol for Gemini are the twins, which can feel a little schizophrenic. People I know, Geminis, often have a lot of polarity kind of in their personality. But I like to think of Gemini as kind of a magician, a shapeshifter. If you think about what the element of what Mercury is like. So Gemini is ruled by Mercury. And if you think about Mercury, if you've ever seen Mercury, it's mercurial, right? We have that term for it. It's like changeable. Things move around. If you've ever seen Mercury, it comes together and goes apart, comes together and goes apart. Kind of reminds me of what happens in the quantum field, except we get to see it in the little silver balls that are rolling around, right? And so there's a changeableness about this, a kind of shape-shifting, a kind of, we've got magic happening now, energy that Gemini has. A lot of the astrologers will emphasize like the quick thinking of Gemini, and also the technology of Gemini, and especially of Uranus coming into Gemini and bringing that Uranian energy into Gemini and stimulating the development of technology, which we are definitely seeing in the explosion of AI. You practically can't get online anymore without like a little AI coming on. "Can I help you? You need help with this, right? I'm here to help you." I find it rather annoying, but sometimes it is really helpful. So we're seeing that explosion happening all over us. So this is going to just increase as Uranus moves into Gemini. Some people will see that Uranian emphasis on technology and on AI in particular as a kind of scary prospect that who knows what could happen with AI. The thing I want to offer, if you've been feeling that way, because I can have those days when I feel that way too, is to remember that Uranus is always in the service of our liberation and of our waking up, of our awakening. So I think that if we really learn to use Uranus and his energy appropriately, then we can always be using technology in the service of our own liberation, our own freedom, right? And so you might want to just hold that for yourself as you're looking at AI and thinking about how you might want to use it. And also to have it inform the way that you use AI, so that if you notice at any point that you're kind of giving over your power to AI, that you want to stop and say, wait a minute, that's not the appropriate use here. Right. And that is not what Uranus would want me to do. No, I am not going to be giving over to AI the ability to tell me who I am, what I should be doing, what's great about me, what's not great about me. I know people are using AI some ways that way. And so I would just caution you in terms of what you want to give, what kind of authority you want to give to AI in your life, and in particular in relationship to yourself. Because what I always say when people come to me for a human design reading is you are the expert on you. And I have also heard from people who have gone down that rabbit hole working with AI, like around their writing, for example, or around their expression, where they feel like they kind of get stupid because they will put something in, they'll get something back, and they'll be like, okay, great, that's good. We can just use that. When it's maybe not really the best for them, but they've given away the authority to the AI. So that's, I think, the thing that we want to watch out for as this energy gets stronger and stronger as Uranus moves through Gemini. But one of the cool things is if you think about like the god of awakening playing in the terrain of the magician, right? Of the shapeshifter, that's pretty exciting. When we think about what it is that we need to be doing on the planet right now, as these old systems are breaking down and falling apart, we need to be shapeshifters. We need to use magic. We need to learn what magic is available to us. I believe that right here in our own heart center and our connection to whether you want to call it your higher self, to the galactics, to the all that is, that is actually is a source of understanding that can feel like magic. And this is always why I recommend the most important thing for us to be doing now is to be going inside and really tapping into our own inner guidance for what it is that we're doing here in the world right now. And I do believe that Uranus in Gemini can help us with that. I'll come back to that in just a second. I want to show you the gates that Uranus is going to go through in Gemini and the dates. So you can take a screenshot of this and just kind of keep it and refer back to it as you want to. I'm not going to go over all of the details because it's really too much, but I do want to give us kind of a high level look at what all of this means for us. For those of you who are kind of nerdy like me, I wanted to give you this little image that shows what are the gates in relation to the astrological sign. In this case, it is Gemini, and then how they relate to the degrees of Gemini. So you can take a screenshot of this if you want, and you can go take kind of put those together. Just note that the gate 8 is one that straddles two different signs, which is not unusual actually. So it moves from Taurus into Gemini. And then the 15 does the same thing. It is in Gemini, but it's going to move into Cancer. So they do not line up exactly at all. But basically there's usually about 5 gates per astrological sign. And then there's some ones on the ends, right? And Uranus has been in the gate 8 quite a bit because in the end of Taurus, right, that is where Uranus has been. And so Uranus has been in the gate 8 a lot, and I have reported on that quite a bit. And the gate 8 is actually a great place for Uranus to be, and will be there when it moves into Gemini, but just for a few more days, it's going to move into the gate 20 on the 28th. So just a few more days after moving into Gemini. But the 8, just to say here, is the gate of contribution. It is up here on the throat center, and it is really helpful for our expression. And as a matter of fact, not only that is the 8 on the throat and about expression, how we're bringing out our purpose really into the world, because the mate of the 8 is the 1, which is on the top of the G center. But all of these gates that go through Gemini are on the throat center. So let's take a look at this next image. You can see all 6 of these gates are on the throat center. Now, the throat center is very, very important in human design. It is the center, yes, for expression, like the throat chakra, but it's also the center for activation and for manifesting. And one of the funny sayings we have in human design is if human design was a game, the object would be to get a motor to the throat. So there's 4 different motors in the human design system, and you want to get them connected to the throat because that's how you get the power to express, to activate, and to manifest. And all manifestors and manifesting generators have a motor to the throat. That's where they're called manifesting or manifestor. Okay, so this is a really important center. It doesn't have power on its own. It's a little bit more like a gearbox that is sending energy around, but it does help us to get our voice out into the world. So for these next 6 years, while Uranus is in Gemini, we're going to have this throat center really lit up. And all of the major circuits are going to be included. The gate 20 is part of individual circuitry. It's in the knowing circuit and also the integration circuit. The gate 16 is collective circuitry. It's in the logic circuit or the pattern circuit. The gate 35 is also collective circuitry. It's in the sensing circuit. The gate 45 is in the tribal circuit. It's in the commerce or the business part of the tribal circuit. And then the gate 12 is also individual circuitry, and it's in the knowing circuit. So we have all of kind of the major energies represented here, lighting up the throat center over these next few years. So this is an incredible time to awaken your own expression, your ability to activate, your ability to manifest. And Uranus is going to help break apart all of the ways that you may have been hesitant about that. You might have had resistance to it. You might have had trauma around it. I mean, most of us have had trauma around our expression. If not in this life, certainly we've had it in other lives because it has been extremely dangerous at other points in history and in certain parts of the world right now to speak up and to say your piece, right? And this is part of the old order that is breaking apart and falling down. And Uranus is really ushering in this new era of new earth. And a key part of that is for each and every one of us to claim our own expression, to claim our own ability to activate and to manifest in our lives. I'll share more about this as we go through time and Uranus moves through these different gates. But let me just say here that as Uranus moves into this gate 20, which is known as metamorphosis in traditional human design or patience in quantum human design, is a little bit of a cognitive dissonance right there where you have this god of sudden change and of awakening in the gate of patience, which is how we're paying attention to, is it the right time to do something or not? Because we want to create at the right time where the energy is available for it rather than allowing our psyche, our ego structure to make a decision and try and push something through before it's ready. And it's really pretty great that Uranus is here right now because collectively we are in a time where patience is needed. Yes, we need to be active. Yes, we need to be creating. But there is also I have a sense of waiting that's going on because what's happening in that outer world is going to continue to unfold. People, for example, who haven't known about the things that are being disclosed right now, whether that has to do with our galactic history or that has to do with what's in the Epstein files, right? People need time to be processing what they're learning. So there is a patience right now for many people as they are digesting the new things that they're learning in this awakening process. So I actually think it's really great that this is where Uranus is for the next year because it's going to really be helping us to, yes, awaken, but not to feel like we have to barrel forward and make things happen, right? Or that we have to do things right away out of fear. Next year, when Uranus moves into the gate 16, we're going to have a really different energy because the gate 16, I'd like to call the ready, fire, aim gate because that's really kind of what it's like. It's the just do it gate. So we have a year where Uranus is more in this energy of patience before we get this energy of just go for it. So that's what's going to happen kind of mid 2027. Then Uranus is going to move into the gate 35, which is a gate all about experiencing things, about living through the body and embodying, right? And enjoying the way that we learn through action and through participating and through being a part of things, not through our minds, right? Not through our minds. And so that is a really interesting time. And then Uranus is going to be in the gate 45, which is tribal leadership, known as the sovereign gate, right? The sovereign gate. It's going to be very interesting when Uranus is kind of going back and forth in the 45 and the 12 and the 35. Anyway, it's going to be a very interesting time in a couple of years. But we're going to have that breakthrough of our own sovereignty in a tribal environment. And then the 12 is the channel, is our ability to break through ideas, through the new insights, the new potentials, the new possibilities that comes in through that knowing circuit, and then just comes right off that throat as the channeling energy of bringing through these new insights that we really need, because we need to be orienting much more to spirit than to our past history of domination, of patriarchy, of empire, right, of might makes right, of power over. And so all of these transits that Uranus is going to be bringing us through that throat center is going to be disrupting that old way of being and also bringing in new possibilities for us. So personally, I actually feel really excited about this and seeing what Uranus is going to bring us. And then one more piece I want to remind you of. Chances are you've heard about this, either from an astrologer, I talked about it earlier in the year, which is a particular alignment that is happening between Uranus and Pluto, I already mentioned today, and Neptune. It's called the Magic Triangle. And this image here is actually from last summer, but their positions haven't changed all that much because the outer planets don't move that quickly. So they are still in this alignment with each other. We also had the same alignment 60 years ago. The last time we had the year of the fire horse, which is also interesting. And that was 1965-66, which was really the beginning of like the peace and love movement, the time of the hippies, the time of, again, breakdown of old structures, saying, no, we're not going to, go and live in the suburbs anymore. We're going to put flowers in our hair and we're going to learn how to play guitars and we're going to experience and explore loving each other in new ways. We're going to look at new relationships. We're going to get back to the land. There's so many beautiful things that came online during that time. Now, of course, it was also crazy because there was the Vietnam War. There was a draft. There was a lot of violence that was happening in relation to the civil rights movement that was going on at that time. So it was a very complex time when many, many different things were going on, just like now. I actually think that was kind of a rehearsal for us for the time that we're in now. And it was a time where there was a blossoming of culture, so much new music, right? New music, new art, new architecture, new ways of like living with the land, like permaculture, and just all kinds of things that started during that time. New ways of personal development, for example, new ways of breaking down our conditioning. There was so much that was happening, and we are stepping into that time again. And I want to remind you of this because it's easy right now to kind of be paying attention to war and to devastation and the people who are suffering, which is real. I'm not denying that it's real. But it's kind of like if you were paying attention just to the Vietnam War in the 60s and you weren't paying attention to all the new culture that was being developed. Now, of course, we want the war to end, and it will end. It's not going to be able to go on. I know some people are afraid that World War III is coming, but I truly do not believe this. None of the light beings who I communicate with say that this is going to be happening, and the channels and the astrologers are all saying, no, we're not going to go that way. So I want to reassure you if you're feeling that way. And also, don't give so much energy to that narrative, because what you give your energy to expands. And even if the war doesn't happen, it can expand your anxiety, your distress, your sorrow, right? Your despair, and all of those things. again, not to stick your head in the sand and not have any idea what's going on, but pay attention to where you're putting your focus. And my suggestion is you put your attention on this magic triangle and this new culture that is emerging, and thinking about Uranus being here, activating this throat center for the next 6 years, giving us the opportunity, giving you, my friend, the energy you need potentially to start being more of a creator of culture. And you can just ask yourself, what could that possibly look like for me, right? Is there something that I've wanted to do that I didn't do before, or something that's newly coming to me that I want to participate in, or that I want to help create, right? To think about how can you participate in the new rather than having sorrow or anger or distress about the breakdown of the old. What is the new that you could participate in? What little piece of new culture would you want to cultivate with your own primary life force energy that'll help contribute to the new earth that is emerging now? You have an important role to play. Every single one of us has an important role to play. We all agreed on the soul level to be here on the planet right now, to be a part of the transition team, moving out of the old, moving into the new, helping to bring through this powerful spiritual energy that is moving through our solar system and through our planet and through every one of our energy bodies, right? To allow ourselves to evolve quickly, powerfully, in a deeply satisfying and enlivening and enlightening way. This is the promise of this time. In order to do that, we do have to keep clearing the trauma that has been embedded in our physical bodies, in our epigenes, and in our energy bodies. We do have to keep doing that. And if you're in the midst of that, I totally get it. And I've been in it for 2.5 years, deep, the purging. Really, I feel like my soul has been like, okay, now's the time, got to get ready. So there's been a lot that's come up for me. So if you've got a lot coming up, that's okay. It actually means you're on track. But the main thing is you don't want to get captivated by it. You don't want to get captivated by the stuff that is purging. And unfortunately, psychology might lead you to believe that you need to do that. You need to go down into your story. You need to go down into your early life. It's possible that there's something that's there that you haven't already known about that you want to give some attention to. But I would say a lot of the time you can just clear it. Use your breath work, use your Kundalini yoga, use your neurosomatic tools. If you've been in my ecosystem for a while, you have some of those. Use your time in nature. Use the things that you have to help you to move energy powerfully and quickly, because you have so much energetic support to do that. And as you do that, you create more space inside of you, more space inside of your mind, more space inside of your heart, more space inside of your energy field, so that you can have the new awarenesses that are coming through. And also your soul can have a deeper conversation with you about what it is that you want to be creating right now. Because fundamentally, you are a creator. You are a co-creator with the flow of life or the creative intelligence of the universe, because you are an aspect of that greater life force, right? That greater God force, if you will, right? The creative energy. You are an expression of that. So please do not ever fall into that trap, which many people fall into. I have fallen into it in the past, which is that I'm only one person. What I do, it doesn't matter. Because, my friend, it does matter. It matters holographically, because every time you make a new choice, every time you decide to choose creativity and curiosity over despair and anger, right? Every time you do that, every time you decide to look forward into what we're creating of this new culture, rather than looking backward as to what is disintegrating, every time you do that, you create a new energetic template that makes it easier for people to step into it. So just know that, even if you don't understand it. I mean, I don't understand it cognitively, right? But I do understand it in terms of that we live in a holographic universe, and that the part contains the whole and the whole contains the part. and you are a part, and I am a part, and we contain the whole, and we do absolutely influence everyone. So Uranus moving into Gemini is a very exciting time. It's going to get fast. It's going to be busy, right? You might find that your mind gets really busy, which means you need even more time out in nature with the trees, feet on the earth, right? More time where you're not doing a lot of left brain activity, right? Where you're creating more space inside of you. But I do think that as we learn to navigate that, it's going to be very, very exciting, because Uranus is going to help us break apart our belief systems that have really confined us into ways of being that are not in our highest good. He's going to go into our substructure in what is going on in our heads and saying, okay, where did you give away your power? Where have you given away your authority? Where have you decided to adopt a belief system that is not in your highest good, right? It's going to keep showing you that. So the more you can get used to this process and you can master it, the easier things are going to go for you. I created a model called the Cycle of Awakening, which, when you master it, teaches you how to create your own breakthroughs. I'm going to be offering this to you very soon, so stay tuned, as part of a program which is about awakening at midlife. And I sat down and I really thought about what do I do? What have I learned really over all the years, but especially over the last few years where this purging has been going on so strongly? What do I do in order to get on top of that process so that I can master it? So that's what the Cycle of Awakening is, and I'm going to be sharing it with you really soon, because I think when you get this, you're going to feel much more empowered at what's going on in the world right now. And if you already know that you want to know about the Cycle of Awakening when I release it, will you just put in the comments below, just say Cycle of Awakening? I'd love to see that too. It's really fun. Just put Cycle of Awakening in there, and then when it's released, I'll make sure that we alert you to that it's available. All right, my friends. Many, many blessings. It's a dynamic time. It's a chaotic time, and it's an exciting time. It's a confusing time. It's an uplifting time. It's a joyous time. It's everything. And I just think about the famous line, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. We're kind of there again. That's the last time Pluto was in Aquarius, was the French Revolution. So for those of you who don't know, that comes from Charles Dickens. Yeah, the best of times, the worst of times. So here we are. Let's make the best of it, and I'm glad to be doing it with you.